Hi again, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Hey.
Mary, you didn't get enough to eat at the breakfast this morning?
Man, I ate so much. She put some of everything on my plate, and I did it justice.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see if Mara's got Mara's got her donut with her.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning,
Rev, how are you?
Morning, Reverend.
I'm living life one day at a time.
Well, you were very powerful yesterday at church, Michael. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Peggy, I don't know if the mayor is going to be on. He had texted me earlier today that he was not feeling well. So we might get you to get things going for us since you're the mayor pro tem.
Okay, great.
Good morning, council. How are y'all?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. Just for council's knowledge, item 1 is going to need a council vote.
Okay. All right, thank you. Well, it's 10 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Reverend, would you like to listen to the invocation?
Okay. Gracious Father and everlasting God, as once again we come saying thank you. Thank you for another day. Thank you for another opportunity. Lord God, we ask you to be into this meeting that we can handle some business according to your way and your will. We actually look upon the mayor right now in his absence, and we actually look upon Peggy, who is in charge this morning. We ask you to give her the guidance and the wisdom that she needs to lead us according to your way. We ask all these blessings in Jesus' name, and for his sake we say amen.
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 Amen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your Vaughn, would you lead us in considering the abandonment of drainage easements?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Council. This first item is to consider abandonment of drainage easement in sections 38 and 39, Block 42 T1S. The developer in this area, 87th Street Partners, is requesting to relocate existing drainage easements to coincide with the planned development. And 87th Street Partners is the owner of the land and has already constructed an alternate drainage channel in exchange for the tract to be abandoned. This item will this item will abandon the portion that is no longer needed, and you can see it on the map. The red ones are the ones that we are abandoning, and the green one is the channel that is constructed already. So the staff reviewed the proposed drainage easement abandonment and recommend approval of the attached resolution, and I'll be glad to answer to your questions.
Are there any questions? So this has already happened. The easement's been abandoned and they constructed the new one. That's correct?
The new one is constructed, and by this approving by this resolution, we are abandoning the red ones.
Okay.
It's not abandoned yet, so we're abandoning now.
Okay. Are there any questions of your Vaughn? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve this abandonment.
So moved.
Second.
In a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Yvonne. I think you are next up still, aren't you?
Yes. The second item is to consider award of bid for 18-inch water line relocation at Yukon Road and East Loop 338. We have 3 bids for this project, and the lowest responsive bidder was TEC Excavation in the amount of $428,158. The reason of this project is to relocate the existing 18-inch water line at Yukon Road and East Loop 338. This relocation will eliminate the conflict with the upcoming TxDOT project of the East Loop 338 and Yukon Road overpass. And I'll be happy to answer to your questions.
Okay, this is not for vote today, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Are there questions of Yvonne on this water line relocation?
What is the timeline, Vaughn, that you're looking at for this?
If we will award the bid, we will start the construction in October, like mid-October. Because TxDOT is leading the project in October too, so we are trying to be ahead of them. So.
Yvonne, can you enlighten the council on what TxDOT's project is planned for that Yukon and Loop intersection?
This is the overpass project. So this overpass pass is the structural portion of it is impacting our water lines. So we are trying to relocate it, not to have that conflict.
So when TxDOT gets ready to build the overpass, we've already would have remedied any conflict with our water line, correct?
That's correct. And they are letting the project in October too. So
So,
They don't want to pay for any of it.
it is in there right away. So we are paying for it. That's correct.
okay. And what's the amount, where are we getting the money to do this? Is it in our budget?
I think this is in this question. This is actually a 2019 CIP money.
Yes, we had money put aside for doing some TxDOT participation out of the 2019 CO issue. So
Okay.
we'll be using money there.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, thanks, Siobhan.
Thank you.
Okay, Marita, would you speak to us about the request of Odessa Affordable Housing for an extension of time to expend CDBG funds?
Good morning. Odessa Affordable has requested an extension of 3 months in order to expend the balance of the CDBG funds that were allocated to them for the 2019 program year. They currently have a balance left to expend of $8,965. They do have some applicants that they are reviewing right now in order to expend this balance, and they anticipate they will have it all expended by the end of the year. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Did they, did we give them funds for this next fiscal year in our allocation?
No, ma'am, they did not request any additional funding at that when we did our allocation for 2020.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was looking through the list and didn't see them. So these are not like some of them that carried over and we reduced next year. This is just a straight carryover for 3 months.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And Marie, I'm sorry.
Any questions?
Do you have no problems with that?
No, ma'am. This is typical with some of these subrecipients that are not able to expend it all in the amount of time that the 1 year that they're given with their contract. It just basically extends their contract for 3 months.
Okay. Do we need a motion on that?
I think it's going to be on the agenda for next Tuesday.
Okay.
The only one that needed a motion was number 1. The rest you'll see next week on the council agenda.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Marita, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Randy will open a public hearing to consider approval for a specific use permit to allow a beauty shop in single family 3. Randy?
Just a routine request. The property owners and occupants of the house are requesting a specific use permit to have a 1-chair salon at their property. They're moving out of the location where they were, and it's more economical for them to move home and have a restricted clientele that's basically appointments only. And it'll be a approximately 388 square foot accessory room that's on the back of the house. It'll be converted to the 1-chair beauty shop. They do have the parking, all the other ordinance requirements are met. They will need to meet all building code requirements. And then all the other comments that we have are pretty much the standard comments that we've used for similar requests in the past. And the applicants are aware of that, and they have no issues with meeting those requirements. And we did send out the required notices and did receive 2 approvals and no protests in this request. And be happy to answer any questions.
So does this change, Randy, just is what it does is allow a single family house to have a business in it? Is that what it 3 does?
Yes, ma'am. It's a very restricted business, and the council will have the right to review the permit if there are complaints that are received, or if there's just a general overall negative impact on the neighborhood. And the council can review the permit and terminate the SUP if need be.
And we sent out notices to their neighbors in what area? All over 2 blocks or what?
Within a 200 feet radius of the property, and we did not receive any protests and did receive 2 approvals.
Okay. Are there other questions of Randy?
Is this an existing structure that they're wanting to remodel into a salon?
Yes, sir, it is.
And Randy, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't put signage or anything out, do they?
No, that's one of our conditions. There will be no sign on the property. It's limited to immediate family member working in the facility, and it is a very restricted condition.
Okay. And so really the neighbors, unless they go get their haircut there, probably will not know that there's a business being run. Is that correct?
They probably will not know. Very minimal visual impact on adjacent properties.
Okay. Any other questions of Randy? Okay, we'll move on then, Randy, and I guess we'll hear from you next Tuesday as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have the agenda in front of me. Can you put it back up? Or just tell me who's next?
Homer is next.
Next, yes, thank you, council. The next item is for council consideration at the next council meeting. The Texas Election Code requires the governing body to appoint the election judges for the upcoming municipal elections. So that item will be on the agenda for y'all to consider. And I am still waiting on the list from the Midland and Ector County for the judges. So you will see that by Tuesday.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Norma.
Okay, so I think that Cindy, you have the rest of the agenda, so you're up.
Okay.
Have fun, Cindy.
And they did allocate 3 hours for this meeting, so that was a little scary to see your name in 3 hours.
That is scary. Let me find my item. Why is it not coming up?
First one is the approval of the MOUTD budget for fiscal year 1.
Okay, I think I've got it now. So we also have on the line Doug Provance. He's the general manager of MOUTD. This budget that he is going to talk to has been approved by their board. The amount of allocation from the city of Odessa has been included in the budget that y'all have been working with during both the work session and at the budget hearing last week. So it is an included amount, and I will let Doug kind of talk a little bit to his budget.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We also have PJ Patel on the line. He's my director of finance. I'll go over it briefly, and then I'll let him handle any questions on the details. Our budget is slightly increased from last year overall due to a federal funding increase. We did have a state funding decrease slightly, but the overall effect was $182,245 increase in budget up to $6,548,590. We had a slight increase in wages, not a raise in this fiscal year. It's catching up the budget from over budgeted items or under budgeted items, I guess I should say, in fiscal year 19. We had to pay a little bit more for drivers than we anticipated, and that makes up the bulk of that increase. Then, of course, health insurance, we have a $80,000 increase. Fleet insurance, we have an $80,000 increase, and the materials and supplies, which is mostly fuel, is a decrease of about $160,000. So it netted out to about 182 overall. And now I'll entertain any questions.
What is it's not really the number question, but how is our participation in the buses now? I mean, do we have more people because of COVID riding or less?
Well, we have less. Our ridership right now is running a little over half of what it was in February and January.
And do you think that's just because people are not working, not because they're afraid to get on the transit? Is it probably because they're not working and staying home, or what do you think on that?
Right now, it's people are afraid. They're staying home. They're not riding the bus as often. Of course, we have the senior citizen centers closed down, so the seniors are staying home. We anticipate this all going to open back up, but we don't know when either. It's just waiting to see what happens.
Well, we sure think it's an important thing for both of our cities. Mara, you're on that committee, right? Board? Mara?
Yes, she is. Both of us are on there.
Tom and I.
Mara and Tom. Any comments you have on the budget or anything you want?
Well, I think what we know about the bus system is that they've had as trying a time during this COVID as anybody has. And the ridership is off, as well as some of the problems we've had with keeping people safe and properly masked up and away from the drivers. So it's been a very trying time for Doug and his crew.
It really has, and I think they've gone, above and beyond to try and keep that, keep the buses safe. They're doing everything that's required, the masking, the sanitizing, and all of that. So it's just a tough time right now.
Okay, good. Okay, are there any questions of Doug or PJ? Well, we already had you in our budget for your budget, so thank you for the explanation and for being.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank y'all.
Okay, Cindy, you want to talk to us about the water rates?
Yes. Let me pull up. Okay. So this wasn't attached in your packet that was sent out on Friday, but I've talked to y'all before. The rates that are being proposed is 2.5% to the water rate, the sewer rate, and the solid waste rate. And so to kind of give you an overall, this is the water and sewer rates combined. So on a 2,000 gallon a month user, currently they're paying $31.19. The increase in both water and sewer will be $31.97. So that's 78 cents a month increase. The 5 gallon, which is what we've talked to along, I told you it was going to be 88 cents plus 51 cents. So that's your increase there. And it goes on through. And I would point out to y'all that the 2.5% increase just increases each rate that amount. So your senior citizens and your disabled veterans are still at a lower rate. So the net effect on a minimal senior or disabled citizen on their water and sewer rate is 57 cents a month. So while overall it's a significant deal for us to be able to work on our deteriorating water and sewer lines, it's a small enough percentage that it's not a huge impact. I know it's an impact and times are tough, but we've got to continue to take care of those lines too, because they need water and sewer. So if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
Cindy, when was the last increase on on those three categories?
The water rate, the last increase that we had on that was in the fiscal year 15-16. We did an 8% rate at that time. And before that, it had been in 2011-12. The last sewer rate increase was done in 2011-12 fiscal year. The solid waste rate was actually increased last year 2.5%, and that was kind of the standard we wanted to start looking at on an annual basis to do small increment increases. And the last increase to that before that was 16-17 fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Cindy?
So I will, so these are water and sewer rates, and let me pull up the
Solid waste.
Yeah, solid waste. And so, just so you know that with each size on the water rates, with each size meter, it's, you have different rates. And then as usage increases, you have the tiers. So that's why we kind of did the schedule that we showed you before. Also with trash, you have different rates depending on whether it's a 2 times a week pickup, whether you're sharing that dumpster with someone else. So we just highlighted a few of these. Every one will have an increase. We just put in some of them to kind of give you an idea of what the 2.5% increase is doing. So you can see a 2 time a week commercial on it's going to be a small increase, about less than $1.99 increase on their monthly. A single 1 time a week, it's got that change in rate. A 4-yard pickup and share, you can see the rate increases there. This is
Cindy, are you sharing a screen with us? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
yes, is it not showing up?
No,
it's not on mine.
it's
Okay.
not. Just
Okay,
I have this from before, but it's not showing up now.
So did y'all see the water rates?
No, but you've talked about them so much.
That everybody knows. Somebody's trying to come help me. Okay, click share. And then it's here. Can I just not click that? So it's not bringing it up.
Go back to that share screen.
Okay, I need to take these.
Just click back, yeah. And click the item and then hit that blue share button.
Right in the middle. Yeah, pops up.
Yeah, I see that. Click this.
No, click the item.
Whichever screen you want to share.
And see, that's what's hard. It's not showing. Okay, here.
Philip saved the day. Thanks, Philip.
Oh, thank you.
There we go.
Well, I tell them all the time I'm not the most tech savvy person here. So again, here are your water rates for 2,000 gallon use, 5,000, 7,000, and on. Okay. Now let's see if I can make the same thing happen with the trash rates. They shouldn't have abandoned me.
There you go.
No, that's the wrong
That's
one.
water. Yeah.
It's still not letting me do that. Okay.
And here comes the IT elf again.
Okay.
It's a mess.
So he just has to stand behind me to
Double
see.
click on that blue bar. And it'll be there.
Okay, are y'all seeing this now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Just sit down. Okay, so here were some of those rates that are showing the 99-cent change there. Commercial changed from $59.95 to $61.45, so 50 $1.50 there. Industrial, here's your single family minimum rate. So it's raising that 50 cents from $19.93 to $20.43. Multifamily, it's a little less because that's a shared dumpster. Okay. Okay, and so any questions on trash rates?
Any questions?
Cindy, okay, only because I'm lazy and I don't want to do the math. So for a single family, 5,000 gallon water or less usage, when you're looking at all three for water, sewer, and solid waste, about how much of an increase will this total?
$1.89. $1.89
Okay.
For all three.
for all three.
Okay.
$1.89?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's easier to handle, you know, when you're saying less
Yeah,
than
it is.
$2.
It is, and we can present it that way at the council meeting on Tuesday.
I think that
I think that would
really
be
be
Yeah.
useful.
Okay, we can change that up some and present it that way.
Yeah.
Now, the actual ordinance that you are voting on, when it's presented, it will talk to all of these different rates, because that's what's in the ordinance. We have to actually put the rates in there. But our presentation can do something different. Yes.
I think that would be really helpful.
Okay, we can do
Right.
that. Okay.
So tell me why some of the different don't have a rate increase.
They do, Tom. We just didn't fill them all in. This is just a comparison, and the previous rates were all embedded. We just didn't calculate all of them in here. They're actually in the ordinance.
Very good.
Okay.
It's the same percentage, you just didn't calculate it.
We just didn't calculate it. I was out yesterday for a family issue, and so I didn't get them those instructions, so that's my fault.
Well,
No problem.
as much as you work, you're still not allowed to have family time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, are there any questions? I really think that this is something that citizens are really concerned about and want to know about. And so many times when it comes to city council, we've already beat it up 2 or 3 times in work sessions or something. So the motion's made, there aren't any questions asked, and people just think that we just rubber stamp everything. So, I think if we had any questions or if you've had any comments during these workshops, it would be important for those to resurface. Even though we know the answer to those questions, not everybody else does. So at least it doesn't look like we've just, oh yeah, this is fine thing. So just
Okay.
a comment. Okay, Cindy, I think you're still up.
Okay, the next item has to do with ratifying the actual property tax increase. And I'm not sharing a screen right now. It's so our budget adoption does have a property tax increase in dollar amount. And that's mostly due to the new property that was added. And so when you have that, you need to ratify that increase in your budget as you're adopting your budget. And so that is what this is doing. That it still states that we are adopting the no new revenue tax rate at the 0.477115, and that we will be taking the first vote on this on September 8th and the final vote on September 15th. So it's you are raising more total dollars next year than the current year we're in, but it's mostly due to the new property that you have. Okay, Does that make sense? Do we have any questions on that?
No, I think that's a concept that is hard for people to understand because I've had a couple of people say, how could it be no new tax whenever the rate is higher?
Yeah.
And
And
so-
that's because values go down, and that's the age-old thing. If values go down, the rate goes up. If values go up, typically the rate should come down to create no new revenue. But you always have that exception of property under protest still and new property that was added to the tax roll that wasn't there last year.
well, unfortunately, the residential values did go
And-
up.
And we will, yeah, and we will talk about that too at the meeting when we do the presentation that, you know, this is an increase for most residentials, but the overall value, and I will display that worksheet again that we looked at last week that showed, you know, that the commercial property came down, but yet residential went up.
And Cindy, there's not any way to differentiate on the rate between residential and commercial, is there?
No.
Okay, I thought that was the answer, but okay. Any other questions for Cindy on the property tax revenue increase?
A comment to make on that.
Okay.
The appraisals, the property values that went down the most were commercial personal properties
Right.
because when you stack a rig in the yard, it's not worth very much.
Right.
And therefore, to create a no new revenue, it has to balance out somewhere. So it's important that we understand it's no new revenue. On the other hand, everybody's homeowners insurance or taxes went up.
That's right.
Right. And we will present that as well when we vote on the tax rate. Yes. And I believe that's the next item. So, you know, again, we're going to talk to what our proposed rate is, what the no new revenue rate is, and that we are keeping that under what used to be the rollback rate or the voter approval rate. So we will show that presentation again of, again, the difference in the values so that that's clear. And I believe that shows down at the bottom the average home value and what the tax would be there. And, you know, we had a citizen speak to that at the meeting last week. And, you know, I didn't show the calculation on there, and I can if council wishes, that if we had left the rate the same as last year, it would have only made like a 70 or 80 cent difference in an annual tax bill. Because the increase to the taxes to the residential home, again, is based on value. It's not based on the rate.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I expect there will be people there again speaking to this.
Yes. And then the final item that I have is just the budget. And, you know, if y'all have any questions for me of the budget, but we've been through that plenty of times. And, you know, we will talk at the meeting. We will show the summary budget and then the by fund spreadsheet. And, you know, talk about that we had a reduction in our sales tax projection, you know, that we are not doing any raises. I think it's important for our citizens to know that we're not proposing any increases across the board to any of our staff. So anything else y'all think I need to discuss, I'd be happy to add that to you.
Cindy, what is the difference if we had kept the same rate on the new values? What is the revenue generated from raising it to the no new revenue rate? You told us that, but I looked through my notes and I can't find it.
Yeah.
had
I may have to find it. I
$500,000.
can send that out to y'all. I'm gonna have to find where I did that calculation, but I know on the residential, when we talked about that last week, that it was only 70 cents, 70 or 80 cents for the whole year, so.
It was 80 cents.
Okay.
You're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can calculate that and present it as part of the budget if you would like for me to.
Well, I think if you just send it out to us, I think it's just important all of us be able to speak to anybody about the impact of the budget. Like, I think it's great the way you put the water and sewer and solid waste into a number, $1.89 a month number, that's something we can all speak to and be able to respond to. So I was curious, had we left it the same rate, that we now have a balanced budget. If we had left it the same rate, then we would have actually had a negative budget, right?
I'm pulling up my worksheet now and see if I revised it, so I'm not. So, 48,461. 52,208.
Is that
So if I took the total value of the 10,157,167.07 at the old rate, we would have had 48,409,129, and that's total general fund and debt service. And the calculation at the no new revenue rate is 48,461,337. So it's not very much at all. But then you add the new property values in there as well.
right? But for residentials, or was that times the residential number or times the total value number?
The total value number.
So so on residentials, how much total are we raising residentials? Because they're bearing the burden of that increase, of the loss of the commercial.
Well, so the residentials actually took a 5.06 increase in value. So if we took that, do you want to see what the actual total amount of tax increase is?
Yes.
But Cindy, at that 5.06%, that's also volume also, is that correct?
Yes, I mean, that's just taking the total values for real estate. Yeah, I don't have it, it's just real estate. That's mostly residential, yes.
Right.
So if I took the total value of, and this doesn't include any exemption stuff. I don't think y'all want Looks like we're gaining 2.3 million.
Which includes new properties.
And the majority of your new property is going to be residential. because of all the development north and east.
Right.
Right. But you have to understand, I'm just looking at total values.
Right.
Because then you have to look at homestead exemptions and all of that.
Right.
Okay. So if you took the total value for real estate last year at last year's tax rate, that generated 44,742,962. And at the current year's value, which is increased at the revenue rate we're adopting, it's 47,056,642.
So if you took last year's value times this year's rate, what is that difference? Because those are people that had homes last year, considering the new ones this year. I'm just trying to get a feel for what this is doing for residents.
So that would have increased. So that would have generated 44,791,217, which last year it generated 44,742,962.
And this year it would have been how much?
44,791,216.
So that difference is not very much, right?
No.
Peggy, I think for her to really answer you, she has to know what properties have been added to the tax roll this year.
Well, that's why I said take this year's rate times last year's value. That's just a quick and dirty way to not include the new this year. I just wanted to see the people that paid last year at that rate residential. Now, if they had the same value this year, what is that increase to them? And I just was curious what that is. So.
Yeah. But I think, and I think Tom could talk to this, is that most of we had a lot of complaints, the appraisal district, about values increasing on most residential places. So the idea that their value stayed the same is probably not what took place. So
yeah, I understand that. I mean, I
understand
and
and I think that showed by looking at, last year's average home value was 145,216, and this year it's 160,307. So, yeah.
So the average has jumped up.
Yes, considerably.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, that's not to say what's going to happen this next year, because it may take a different turn. So.
Right. Yeah, these were all the values that as of January 1, is that right, of 2020?
Yes.
Yeah. And of course,
that's the basis, as it's supposed to be property held at January 1 and the value at January 1. And as we discussed before, the commercial personal property, that's based on information provided by the commercial entities to the appraisal district. That's not due to them until April the 15th, and it can be extended to May 15th.
Right.
And so that's after COVID hit. And as Tom mentioned, these drilling rigs get stacked. And so, and as well as their other equipment, and, can they legitimize a lower value to that property at that time? Probably so.
No, we did that. So, okay. Any other questions from Cindy? For Cindy?
Yeah. Before we leave today, I would like to introduce y'all to Larry Fry. Larry, are you on?
I am.
Are you sharing your video? I'm trying to look at my screen.
Yeah, we
see him.
Yes.
Larry Fry is our new finance director. He started last Monday, so he's been here a whole week. And he's learning all about us and getting to know Munis. He comes from us, from Roswell, New Mexico. He was long-term finance director there and graduated to assistant city manager and then city manager. And he was interested in getting back to the finance realm. And so we're lucky to have him. And so next year he can present all this to y'all.
Welcome, Larry.
Welcome.
Welcome, Larry.
Thank you
Glad
very
to have
much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Larry, did you just move here from Roswell?
We have. I actually, when Cindy left, I also spent a couple of years as city manager up in Clovis as well, and had been doing some other things the last 2 or 3 years before wanting to get back into to the world of municipal finance. So looking forward to being over here. Yes, we have a daughter and son-in-law who live in Midland, work in Odessa, and so we have family in the area and looking forward to the opportunity to be here.
Well, that's
Excellent.
nice. I'm a native New Mexican and I moved to Texas when I was 40. And I can tell you, it doesn't take very long to become a Texan.
Well, I was actually born in Texas, so I started early anyway.
Okay.
You came back. You came
I
back.
came back.
But what did you do? Get tired of the aliens at Roswell? Because I used to live there.
I'll tell you, we had to deal a lot with the alien issue. It certainly is a big factor in tourism there.
Yeah. Well, we welcome you here to Texas.
Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, Cindy, anything else?
I'm done.
Cindy, you've got 2 more hours.
Yeah.
Cindy, you got 2
No,
more
I'm
hours.
done.
You're good. You're good.
What are you going to do with the 2
I want to hear
hours?
that calculator keep going.
No, we're good. I'm done unless y'all have any questions of me.
Thank you.
Hey, well, thanks so much. This time of year is just incredible for you, especially since you were finishing up the CAFRA and everything as well. So a special thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you very much.
Cindy.
I appreciate that.
Mhm. Thank you.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Hey, go forth, be safe, wash your hands.
Ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.